What's going on, y'all, and welcome back to another Etheria restart video. We just wrapped up our Dreamscape. I did a lot of it on stream, but I decided to do a last few refreshes, which I do think is an issue here in the Dreamscape, but we'll talk about that in just a second. We did get top 5 on the leaderboard, at least for day 1, and then I did want to do those last few boss kills. I was actually thinking of not refreshing at all, but I wanted to check. I heard from Asia players that this accumulated damage tier will actually ramp up past 1,000 into 1,500 and you get more rewards. So I want to double check that and see if it goes even past that next threshold tomorrow. However, keep in mind that this thing it is a permanent, permanent track sort of deal. So this at least will not, you don't have to reset this every single day. So maybe refreshing these keys isn't quite as important, but we'll kind of see. We'll get more intel as we get further along in the Dreamscape event. Unfortunately, it's so RNG heavy, which is going to be one of my complaints or critiques, I should say, over the entire event. So it's hard to say like how much we're going to be getting in terms of just overall resources, but stay tuned. Hopefully you guys like this video. I'll have some tips and tricks on how to just, kind of breeze through it, face roll. And I'll also give my takes on what I like and then what I really don't like. And then I guess kind of a macro overview on kind of Etheria's current state of the game. So thank you so much for tuning in, and let's break it down. All right, y'all, let's start with the basics, and then we'll get into the tips and tricks, what I found to be best, and then I'll wrap up with my overall review, what I liked, didn't like. But just talking about the basics for those of you that haven't even tried the event and just want to know kind of what to expect, what to do here. You're going to get I believe 3 key entries per day. So you actually don't even have to do this event every day if you don't want. Just make sure you don't overcap, so, don't wait 3-4 days. But as long as you use some of your keys, you'll be A-okay. You can kind of chill for a bit. Now, on top of that, let's go through the different exchange modes. This is going to be one of the major reasons to do the event, and we're going to be getting a lot of these mystery boxes. Now, full transparency, guys, and once again, at the end of the video, I'll go over what I liked and didn't, and I'll just spoil it ahead. I think one of the major complaints from everybody is just how much RNG are in these boxes. Now, events in Etheria, we're no stranger to RNG, right? Even the shell game, the Cupid game, they all have various amounts of RNG, lots of variants, I should have said. But this one I feel like is going to be the craziest in terms of how lucky you get, especially if you're going for things like the Dream Lattice Mystery Box. I'll show some footage, of course, of myself pulling them. I also pulled them on one of my buddy's accounts. He let us, play through the Dreamscape event for fun as well. So we have a lot of at least first-hand checks on like how rare this is. And it kind of seems like, guys, if you open up all of these boxes, you'll get close to getting a perfect lattice. You may not get exactly enough, but with the RNG in there, you will get a decent amount, assuming average luck, and maybe close to getting 1 full lattice if you buy out the max amount of boxes. Now, one of the other tips that we could go through, and I'll probably elaborate more on this if we get to it on the tips and tricks section, is looking at the Dream Crystal mystery box, because it feels like the crystals are a lot higher chance of dropping than the lattice. So some of y'all may want to just do this instead, and then you can use these to either fuel your refreshes, you can fuel extra keys, and I'll talk about, maybe when free to play should buy keys if you shouldn't buy keys, but we'll get to that later. Other than that, guys, I would recommend one of these 2 boxes for now, and not look at the other 2, at least at the moment. Now, the other section is where you're going to get your guaranteed stuff, and I'll show you why or where you're going to pick up these dream essences here in just a moment. But yeah, you're going to want to get, perfect lattice fragment first, in my opinion. I think that is still the #1 material to get for every single player, pay to win or free to play. I should have said whale. But yeah, I think everybody should be going for the perfect lattices, as those are, there's no easy way to get these. They're very time gated. But after you get that, I think we will definitely have some time to get some extra goodies as well, like the stability. Purple lattices could be a little rough depending on how much we actually get of the purple and gold. This one you may not be able to get both, but then we're also going to be getting some surplus of the red, blue, green as well, so you can pick up any of these prototypes for the summons and things like that. So just keep an eye on both of those, and now let me show you where inside we're going to get those, and we'll double back in a second. But you can see here, guys, we have the dream essences on the left, and then we have a blue, green, red, and then legendary. I'll talk about legendary second. Ignore that legendary, but light and purple. It's hard to see the light element. But that's going to correspond. So I did already buy a few, or if you saw, I bought one of the lattice fragments. Otherwise, I'd have more of this light and purple, light and dark. But I would say always get, with your entry keys, you want to do 1 light, 1 dark, and then pick wherever the legendary is as well. So, for example, my next set of what do you call these? I don't know what they're, virtual figure fragments is what they call down here. my legendary is now going to be on Doki, and that's going to rotate, guys. Sometimes it'll be on like your blue, sometimes it'll be on your green. So it's going to be on my Doki. So for this next set of 3, right? Remember, we always want to put these in a bracket batches of 3 entries, and I'll tell you why in a second. The game will give you 3 entries, just general, so it kind of makes sense. But you'll see here it says Lindell, and you'll see 3 empty boxes. When you do 3 total of these runs, these virtual fragments, then you'll fight the Lindell boss. And the Lindell boss will give you some other stuff. We're going to get to that in a sec. There's a lot to this mode, but just follow along. Once you do it once, after I explain it, it'll make perfect sense, and it's really not overly complicated. There is a lot to the mode, though. But my suggestion, once again, is to do 1 light, 1 dark, and then whatever your legendary is for every batch of 3. And then I would say, like, try to keep a balance. So let's say you start, like, for me, it's looking like next I need to get a green. So for this next set of 3 tomorrow, I'll do 1 light, I'll do 1 dark, and then I'll do Freya. Because I want to keep a balance here. If you look in the shop, it kind of seems like, right, if I remember correctly, they're all about even. Yeah, they're all exactly even in the amount of different elements or colors you want. So try to maintain a balance, and that's as simple as it gets for this recommendation here. Now, doubling back to the front page, I just want to cover this again real quick. I did talk about it at the very beginning of the video, but in case you missed it, you have kind of an accumulated damage tier track, and this is a one-time, or I should say, this is a universal thing throughout the entire 6-day, 7-day event. This will not reset per day, so don't worry about that, but it will scale past 500, it'll scale past 1,000, and there's a lot of extra rewards to be had here. So I'm going to just tell y'all now, and I'm going to say it again later, but I need to mention this at the moment. This is going to be from the Lindell boss, and let's go ahead and jump into the Dreamweaver guide. To complete the Dreamweaver challenge, you actually have to survive the Lindell fight. So hopefully I can show y'all some footage here, but I was running one of my runs on my on the other account that I was playing. We actually got a good score, but we ended up dying at the very end. Now, the score was great. However, we didn't complete the Dreamweaver challenge. So make sure when you fight this, it's going to be a full auto fight in Lindell. Make sure you actually complete it. So don't try to just rush the boss down and get a high score. You need to make sure you actually complete the timer with your unit surviving. It's a failed run. You don't complete this challenge. And I think that's one of the biggest like PSAs to take away from this video if you do take something home with you. So just keep note of that. And then the leaderboard, I believe, has nothing really to it besides flexing. Yeah, don't worry about that, especially if you're free to play. I don't think that's going to give us anything in general. But I can't show you on the screen, guys, but like the first set of challenges, we did get, a key. So every time you complete a set of challenges, you will be getting a free dream key. So as free to play, you'll get 3 + 1 every time you complete a set of challenges. So it's actually decent. Now, you will be able to buy up to 6 more. And it is quite expensive at 300 hydro crystals a pop. That's going to be like up to 1,800 extra crystals. Now, I'll save this for the end when I talk about the critiques, but I'm not a fan of this system. I really wish they just, kept it the same for everybody. And if Etheria wants to monetize, let's monetize, lattices or packs and leave the events kind of equal for everybody. But yeah, let's go ahead and just jump now straight into some actual footage of the run, and I'll talk with y'all there. All right. I recorded a run for us, and this is kind of what I like to do now. So what I'll be doing going forward, and I highly suggest you guys do the same unless you want to risk it all, which I can talk about later. But we're going to take the light portal, and I think every one of y'all that wants just good sustainable rewards is to just take the light portal. Trust me on this, you won't regret it. So this is just one of the random stages you'll receive or you'll encounter. This is just going to be one of those mob waves. It's multiple mobs or sometimes single mob, but you want to kill this as fast as possible. And if you notice, I actually only brought in 4 units because a 5th unit here would actually slow down my run, just add animation time. And so I just go ahead and run with 4. Your mileage may vary if you aren't end game. Maybe you do have to bring 5 units, but just a pro tip or a, just a side tip that some of y'all may not know is that you can run with less units, and that might help you increase your speed of clearing. Now, the faster you clear these mobs, you will get more rewards. So we'll go ahead and fast forward past this, and then we'll check out the next room. All right, first wave done, and we got some of the currency, and now we have a 3 different rooms set up, and you see me pick the make it big. I think the earlier you get this, the better, and honestly, even if you get it halfway, and sometimes even near the end, if the other choices are poor, I highly recommend you guys grab this one. It's pretty crazy. It just gives you some free stuff. It's super quick. You open every box, and you get 1,500 of the dream, are they called dream dust? It's hard for me to see here, but the dream fragments, the feather currency that you need. And look at this, the next room as well, we're gonna get even more. It kind of just ramps up and it gives you 1500 each time. So highly recommend you get this. Now keep track of my score there on the top right. You see me break the 20K, and that's going to be one of your important milestones. Now I believe the last boss will also give us a little more. So just make sure we want to try to hit that 20K. And honestly, it feels like even with bad, room luck, as long as you pick the right choices, and then you count the last bit you'll receive from the boss, it sounds like we'll hit that 20K breakpoint, and that's important because that's going to give us the double S reward. Now, the jump up to triple S reward is a little crazy. It's something like 40, 50K to get triple S, unless you want to gamble on the dark side, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. I highly advise against it. Now, in terms of just the team compositions here, guys, think of it like early anti-sync. Just choose the appropriate difficulty for you. You want to bring a balanced composition here. The speed doesn't matter. Just make sure you have enough sustain. Sometimes if you're on like the Inferno Abyss difficulties here, especially on the legendary version, you can get an Abyss difficulty for extra rewards. You're going to need a higher level and higher geared squad, I would say, with a very, very balanced composition. So I'm just using my classic, protect the Shiata with a lot of buffs, have a healer, have some speed down, have Freya and Valerian for, protection. And yeah, it seems like the Heinrich one can be a little tough. Doki one seems easy. Some of the bosses are difficult. I heard the Freya one can be hard too, but for the most part, you guys will quickly figure out your difficulty and then you can kind of stay there. I think for the most part, if y'all are endgame, Inferno Abyss should be doable for most of y'all watching. So yeah, just kind of gauge the newer you are, maybe scale it back a bit. And a lot of y'all should, it's not the most difficult content in the game, so don't worry about that. All right, so we're wrapping up our first run, and this is kind of what you're going to want to do here, guys. You can see we got a good amount of the Dream Dust, and then we get the double S, which is the second highest. Now, is that the highest in the game? No. Could you do better? Yes. However, is the risk worth it? In my opinion, definitely not. So let's go ahead and look at a purple run real fast, and then we'll talk through it as well, just super quick. All right, so I have an example run from the stream earlier. This is actually on my my buddy's account. And he told me to just go ahead and test things, risk it all. So you're going to see what the dark mode kind of looks like. And, we do get an initial kind of gamble here. A lot of it is just coming down to coin flips. You get to double it, double it or lose it all, right? Double or nothing, essentially. Now, that's fine for the most part, right? However, I think that the amount of risking required here, depending on how lucky you get, I think even on average, you're going to see me get pretty lucky here, right? We won the first two, all-in bets. We're going to keep continuing down the portals. However, as soon as you start missing, a few bad rooms here and there, as soon as you get even a little unlucky, and you're going to watch this here in a second, it's funny, because I'm explaining this nightmare coffer here. So how it works is you have a high chance there originally, and then you have an 85%, and it's going to scale down 15% every time. Now watch what happens, because I'm talking to my stream here. They're going to freak out in a second. You'll see in the chat because I talk about, I jinx myself and I say, a lot of people are going to get upset when you miss the 85. So that's going to happen, and it sucks, right? So, you got to play the odds, missing 15%. We all know how you can miss 10%, but watch this. Now we get another chest room, and you're going to see something very surprising. We get the original 100%, right? That's guaranteed. And then on the next 85, womp womp, you fail again. Now I know that was, two 15% in a row. I actually end up failing the chest in the next run too. But overall, just, you guys got to trust me on this one. I did a lot of the, these purple nightmare runs. And, unless you're just playing for fun, which, hey, more power to you. If you want to risk it all and get that triple S, get the big rewards, go for it. But I think, to me, the risk reward isn't quite there. It seems like more often than not, you're going to end up getting burned unless you really, really know how to play the odds. And I think, in my opinion, it's just safer to go for the light side, where on average you will almost always get the double S, and you'll get a very high consistent amount of rewards even when you're not super lucky, and there's almost no risk involved. So once again, my suggestion, pick the light side. There was a few interesting things jumping between light and dark, but I might save that for a different video, as it's still, inconclusive in terms of how good it is. There's so much wonky and crazy stuff you can do. You can actually jump. What I'm trying to say is you can jump between the light and the dark portals. But for now, I would highly recommend just stay to the light side, get your double S's, and just get a ton of free stuff. All right, the last gameplay footage I need to talk about with y'all is the Lindell fight. So this is what's going to happen after you do 3 runs. You're going to fight a giant Lindell, kind of like in the Ethernet rally. And it's more of just a, DPS check. You're going to want to do as much damage as you can in 4 minutes. Remember what I said, though, is that you need to survive at the end. Do not, die halfway through. Don't die at the end. Make sure it's a completed run where your team survives. That's important because what I talked about earlier, you need to get those mission achievements. And when I failed this earlier on the other account, I ended up, not getting that achievement or that mission completed for that extra key. So very important. Just make sure you survive. That means you're going to want to bring a balanced team once again. You don't need Lily here, but bring like a, bring some kind of sustain via Ling Lo. And then bring a high damage dealer like D-Ting. I think D-Ting is just the best in slot here. You can use things like Rosa. And I actually, on my other account, instead of using Lily, I ended up using Rosa plus D-Ting and just stacked a bunch of artisans to kind of help with extra support, extra defensives. I think this comp is the best overall if you have it. This is what all the leaderboards have. But, if you're not going for one of those top leaderboard, top 100 spots, don't even worry. Just use whatever you have. Make sure you survive and try to score as high as possible. So bring a super big, high damage, single target unit. And remember that light units are not not allowed here. All right, let's go ahead and talk about what I liked and didn't like. And I'll go ahead and show probably some footage while I yap here about, my opening the boxes, if I can find it for my live stream. But in general, let's go ahead and start about what I didn't like. And the main thing is really just the first one is the fact that you can buy extra keys with Hydra crystals. That's going to give whales an inherent advantage. And, guys, that is gacha games, right? Gacha games will always be pay to win. However, I think in most of the other gachas I play that this game is modeled after, they try to keep the events more, fun for the whole community. At least in the sense of like if you whale or spend money, you don't get that far ahead, or it doesn't even give you any advantage. So I would like Etheria to kind of follow suit. I think this is our first event, I believe, right, guys, where you can actually spend extra Hydra crystals to get more attempts and do better than, your free-to-play counterparts. I wish we would take that out, and instead, let's start monetizing, the packs again in the shops. Give us more lattices, give whales more skins, better packs, all that. Let's keep it out of the events, in my opinion. That'd be great if we could do that. Now, the second complaint I have, guys, and it's why I'll show y'all some footage, the amount of RNG variants. So people are going to be opening these Dream Lattice mystery boxes, and they're going to get, out of 50 to 100 boxes, they may get like a handful of lattices, or some people may get super lucky, get 0. Now, I think in the long run, it will even out, right? Your luck will even out, as most things do. But that might take a lot of time, where the smaller the sample size, your buddy may get a full lattice, like within 200 boxes of these. You may open the full 300 and get like 5. Maybe 0, even if you're super unlucky. I think we need to limit the amount of RNG in these events, because that leads to a lot of frustration. Now, if you want to, kind of hedge your bets a bit, hedge your luck, I think go for the crystal mystery boxes instead. I know we all want the lattices, but this way, at least, I think these are a lot more common is what I've been hearing. And then you can use these to fuel either your refreshes or fuel your extra keys, like I mentioned at the start. But I hope we can get rid of the extra Hydra crystals for extra keys in the future. I don't know if it's too late for that. My only third complaint, guys, is what I talked about between going into the light versus the dark portal. And that is that the dark portals don't really seem worth it. Yeah, they're kind of fun for one time to see if you can hit big, but for the most part, my recommendation, I think most people recommend, just stick to the light side. It's just going to give you way better sustainable results, and it'll let you just finish the event with a lot of resources in your pocket. Where the dark portal, it's all just gamba. It's so 50-50 coin flip, and I think, in my opinion, you just stick to the light side. I'd like to see them balance the risk reward a lot more in favor, give us more reason to go into the dark side of the portal. Now, everything else, guys, I actually really enjoyed the event. It might be a little time consuming, especially if you're newer, maybe if you use tankier teams. I could see this being kind of a slog after we get over the initial, new event smell. But overall, I think they put in a lot of work. I like the variants. I like the different amounts of bosses and things you can encounter, like a roguelike. We just need to fix the RNG stuff, maybe balance the dark portal a little better, and kind of cut down on the whaliness. And I think the event would be really good. Now, I've seen a lot of people saying things like, they're going to quit because this didn't save the game. Listen, in my opinion, that's kind of just the MO of all gacha games, especially hardcore ones like this, like Epic 7, like Summoner's War. You're going to have people that, eventually get burnt out for whatever reason. Now, if this didn't solve the game for you, I think you were probably going to end up burning out or quitting anyways, even if it wasn't from this event. I think the players that love Etheria and have been enjoying it, for the most part, I think they'll be able to get through this, even if they dislike it. And I think a lot of people will see it for what it is, where it does have some flaws, but in general, I think it is a nice event that hopefully we can ask them to improve upon, and it will give us just a lot of extra resources. In terms of solving the economy, does this fix it? I don't know. It's a little too early to tell. It's only been 1 day. It really depends. There's so much RNG. I can't tell how much coins we're going to get after the 7 days. That's also going to depend if you're buying extra keys or not. Is the extra keys worth it in terms of Hydra crystals? There's so much to talk about in terms of that. I don't want to give a take on if it fixes our economy just yet. But it is what it is. I think the event, I rate it like a 6 out of 10. It's pretty good. but it could use some heavy improvements. And I think the players that expected too much, you know, they're probably, unfortunately, weren't going to stick around with the game anyways. I think that's just a difference in view of how the devs want a more hardcore, serious, or grindy game, and how other players wanted things a little more casual with more resources and all that. So yeah, unfortunately, I think just a lot of players won't see eye to eye. And until those fixes, maybe like a year down the line, once a lot more quality of life comes through, then those players will come back and things like that. But I hope you guys watching that are always tuning in to either here on the live streams or enjoying the game so far, let's keep asking them to improve. And yeah, from here on out, I think things will get better. So thanks so much for watching as always, guys, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.